Welcome back, guys. In this video, we're gonna do a reaction to Brian and Carrie. They are a couple who travels around the world. They have over 80K subscribers. Looks like they're doing very well. Looks like they put out a lot of good information. And in this video, they talk about specifically surviving without Airbnb. So they are no longer using Airbnb when it comes to traveling and living abroad, how our travel experience has changed. Now, me personally, I have had good experiences using Airbnb. So in this video, we're gonna go over what we might agree with or disagree with, maybe some things they might have done wrong on Airbnb perhaps. Let's just see where this goes and see if Airbnb really, is no longer a thing anymore. Let's see what they do.
Now, if you follow our channel at all, you know that not very long ago, we decided to quit using Airbnb and try other platforms for multiple reasons.
Yeah, we had several bad experiences, and it was all topped off by a really bad experience. So we just decided, we're going to cut bait, see what we can do on other platforms, and if it pays off, and if so, what are our thoughts?
Now, there was other reasons that we really didn't like using Airbnb. It just became easy to use because they do give you the bigger discounts for long stays. But one of the things we really disliked was how you gave your money to Airbnb multiple months before you were going to be traveling for them to hold, instead of having it in your own bank account.
We also found that
All right, let me stop that right there, guys. So giving your money to Airbnb multiple months in advance, that's not a thing. All right, so I've used Airbnb dozens of times. I can show you proof of all my trips, and I've stayed in Airbnbs for longer than 1, 2, 3, 6 months even. All right, in a single Airbnb. So I've never had one single case where they've held all my money in advance. What they typically do is accept a portion, like first months, right? And then they basically use monthly installments moving forward. So I don't know what they mean by all of their funds were locked and they had to do all this all up front. That just wasn't my experience. So I'd have to disagree with them there for sure.
There weren't any discrepancies between host owner and the guest. Airbnb was really good at playing the middle ground, kind of putting you off, kind of making you work for any kind of an answer. And if you're playing the middle ground, the owner host isn't getting any benefits and neither is the guest. So it's one of those deals where who wins? Well, in a lot of cases, neither side wins.
The other thing that we really
Okay, so playing the middle ground. Look, I've had good experiences where my internet wasn't working in the apartment, and work is very important to me, my remote work, so I had to leave, right? And Airbnb did a good job of actually refunding me my money. So as far as discrepancies between host and renter, I think the way when I disputed it, I basically won. So again, I've had a good experience in that case. And by the way, I'm not promoting like Airbnb. I'm not in one of their affiliates or anything. I'm just sharing my experiences. And so far, they're 0 for 2. So both times, again, they don't keep all my money up front. And the resolution was actually really good. I got part of my money back, and I got put into a new Airbnb. So I thought it was a good experience.
Like with the cancellation policy that Airbnb has, pretty much they don't have a cancellation policy. When you rent a place, most of the time you are paying for it up front, like we said, many months ahead, and you don't get to cancel it. So really,
guys, they're 0 for 3. Let me go to Airbnb right now. So they're saying Airbnb doesn't have a cancellation policy. Let's just go to, I don't care what city it is. I'm in Bucaramanga right now. No cancellation policy, huh? So we'll go monthly. Let's go search. Look, this is actually the one I'm staying in now. So it's really simple, guys. When you're looking at Airbnb, here's their cancellation policy. So right now it's late June. If I wanted to rent this in November, I can cancel this up until October, up until the last day of October. So I don't know what they mean. You can get a full refund if you change your mind. So they're 0 for 3 within like the first minute of the video. All right. Just again, not every apartment's gonna have this, but most will, and you can easily just look it up. So I don't know what they're talking about.
They lock you into your plans. Now, I get it that there are some that do allow cancellation policies, but in the areas we've traveled, very few of those.
So what are our options? Airbnb made it so easy.
Okay, so maybe the locations that they've been in, I don't know what countries they've been to, but here in Latin America, that's the case more than 50, 60% of the time. Again, just do your own research on Airbnb.
Easy for you just to jump on their platform and book a listing. Well, we have found that there are other platforms that you can do the same thing. Are they as inexpensive? Is it as convenient? Well, we use Bookings and Expedia, and we found both of those platforms to be easy to use.
Yeah, on our stretch that we are on now, we are in Mexico, and prior to coming, our goal was to make all of our bookings before we went. We had reservations everywhere we were going. We didn't pay a penny in advance, and all of our reservations were cancelable up till pretty much the day before or the day of arrival. That to us was a really great feeling because we knew that if we wanted to veer, pivot, change the course, we could do that, where when we locked in those rentals, we don't get that chance. As we really dug into it, I'd always used Expedia, definitely had used Booking here and there, but this kind of forced our hand to dig deeper into both of these apps and kind of see what they had to offer. And we found that they had such great bonus offers. So if you've been with them for a while, you've done a lot of bookings, you earn different levels of status with them, which gives you better discounts. And then on Expedia especially, you actually earn points. And those points then you can apply towards your stays, the upcoming stays. We've had free hotel stays because of that.
We got a free bottle of wine in one of our places. I don't know how good the wine was, but we drank it.
We actually really liked that one.
Yeah, so
it was
great. Now, I also want to say, I want to make this very clear, we're not sponsored by Bookings or Expedia. We don't get paid by them. They don't even know we're doing this video. So I want to make that very clear right away, is this is not us trying to push you in any certain direction. This is just our experience of getting away from Airbnb and moving to some of these other platforms. That's all this is.
And, mainly the reason...
So far, their platform, and by the way, I'm not sponsored by Airbnb or anything like this. I'm just sharing my experience as well. So Expedia and Bookings, to my knowledge, I booked flights, but not like hotels or resorts, which is really what those are, in my opinion. But let's see what they have to say about it.
Is because, Airbnb, if you watch the news at all, Airbnb has really kind of been a hot topic recently of a lot of people having issues and complaints. And so we really just kind of want to share. We've had a lot of people ask us because they also want to break away from using Airbnb as well and share our experience to see how it went these last 3-4 months just using Booking.
And we've heard from both of those. And we've heard from plenty of hosts, both the hosts that were pleased with our videos and the hosts that weren't so pleased with our videos. Well, the deal is if you're a great host and you care about your booking, you don't have a problem. But we need to weed out those bad hosts because they give us all a headache. And I think you would agree with that as well.
So another big question people have is how did we find the price comparison? We really wanted to use this stretch of time to really test this and see how it was going to break down in the end.
Airbnb had the big discount if you stay 28 days or longer. That's what made it so appealing to us. If we could stay 28 days plus and get that discount. Now we're not getting that. But that also forced our hand to maybe move a little quicker.
It did. And I think that was one of those things in the beginning we thought, well, we don't have any benefits staying 28 days, so let's go ahead and just move every week, 2 weeks, whatever we were comfortable with. And, we kind of wondered how that was going to go, but we ended up absolutely loving it.
Okay, so they're moving every 1 to 2 weeks. So far what I've gathered is they are short-term travelers, nothing wrong with that. They're more like tourists, right? So they're staying in different cities for like 1 or 2 weeks at a time. So it's totally different when you're a short-term tourist versus you're actually living in a country, right? For like months at a time. So they're like night and day. And yeah, I think if I was traveling for like 1 week at a time or 2 weeks in a different city, yeah, hotels would probably make more sense in that case.
Having that freedom has been really great.
Having the freedom, having our money not tied up months in advance is part of that freedom. Now, did the comparison on how much we...
And again, they brought it up again as far as money tied up in advance. That's not a thing on Airbnb, so it just hasn't been my experience. Like maybe it's particular to certain countries, but that's not the case in Latin America.
Match up. Not too bad if you consider the fact that if we were using Airbnb and moving just as quick, it would have been about the same. We just weren't getting the monthly discount.
Yeah, so I would say that, just like you were saying, it did weigh out if we were to do it comparing apples to apples, but if we wanted to get those month-long stays, we definitely would have been finding better deals on Airbnb.
So I'm confused. So they want to stay for months, month-long stays, but they're traveling for like 1 or 2 weeks at a time because they didn't like Airbnb.
So we do understand that. I would throw out that there's also another option of that you can always look into finding a rental agency in the town that you're going to be visiting and find serviced apartments. And you can really just kind of Google that. Google serviced apartments in Mexico City, and you're going to find a lot of different listings. We did kind of look through that a little bit to see if that would work for us, but because we were only staying for shorter periods, it didn't really matter that much.
Right. You can also look up apart hotels, which is something that we've done in the past, which is, it's an apartment, but it's a hotel, so there's a front desk person. You usually get a free breakfast with that too. They do cost a little more, but with that breakfast and that front end staff member, it comes with cleaning usually as well. So they do cost more, but you get more.
Now, when you do book with Booking or with Expedia, there are some discounts for longer stays, more on Booking, but you just not as extreme, But you gotta have to make sure, put in like a few days and then put in that 2-week stay and do the daily average, and you'll see you are getting a bit of a discount.
So let's not forget about VRBO. It's another platform that's very popular. You can use Expedia and VRBO listings will come up underneath that platform. So VRBO is also another option.
Now, like we mentioned in the intro there, the major benefit that we see is not giving our money to Airbnb ahead of time and having that freedom to book refundable reservations and not have our money out of our savings.
Okay, so they brought it up again. They brought up the giving their money up ahead of time, which is not the case. And they brought up cancellations, which plenty of these Airbnbs have cancellation policies, fully refundable before you book. It's just a matter of looking at the particular listing. So they're wrong there as well.
And we are still making interest on it. To me, that was a huge plus.
Yeah, I think if everything was equal, if we got out here and we started experiencing these other platforms and we saw no difference, that alone would be enough for us to use this platform over the Airbnb platform, simply because our money's not tied up.
Like we mentioned, we were able to book all of our 3 months of bookings through Mexico, but the beauty was there were some places that we were in and we were thinking, do we want to stay longer? Do we want to, you really can't shorten your stay so much as soon as you've started it, but you have the ability to stay longer in a place and then change your next upcoming reservation. But not only that, there are times that we have met with people and they're like, oh, you're not going to this place, you need to go visit this area. But if you've already dialed in, which is what we've done in the past, we have all of our reservations pretty much kind of put out there for at least 3 months going out, and you can't just veer and change. You can't change course and go to those places, so you kind of miss out a little bit.
We've had people say to us, well, good luck booking a place and then not having to pay for it until you get there, or a week before you get there, or 10 days, whatever the case may be. It won't happen. The owner host is not being protected if that were the case. That doesn't exist. Well, yes, it does exist. It exists on these platforms, and the freedom that we have, we're looking to becoming even more free moving forward because of this.
Yeah, we one of the things with the being able to search for those or the ones where you don't have to pay anything ahead or that they're refundable, you can always just do that search by clicking those filters on the side. So you're narrowing down the ones that say reserve now, pay.
I'm sorry, those are still the same 2 points they keep bringing up, which are just inaccurate. So first off, I think they're comparing apples with oranges here. They're traveling 1 or 2 weeks at a time, mostly, from what I'm gathering from what they're saying, and both of their claims as far as the tying up your money in advance is just not true, and cancellation is not being able to cancel is also not true. So, and they bring it up multiple times, so that's why I keep mentioning it.
That's what we search for. Then we're not locked into anything. We can just go ahead. We know we've got a place reserved.
And they already mentioned they're paying a lot more money on bookings or these other sites they're using versus what they would pay on Airbnb, because you do get the big monthly discount. Usually, most times.
But then we can also keep watching prices and see if prices drop down. Sometimes the deals become better, cancel that one, and grab the next one.
And not only that, but the freebies we might get as we get more important up the ladder using Expedia. It's just kind of it's a perk to stay with the platform, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, it is kind of nice. And when you sign on, you will see the listings. You can look just for VIP listings, because when you reach that status level, the VIP status will give you a lot of time a free bottle of wine, like we mentioned. It will give you a room upgrade and a lot of time a better discount on those rooms. So
okay, so. Free bottle of wine, which in Argentina or most places in Latin America, you get a really good bottle of wine for $5-10. A discount, which you get more of a discount they agreed on Airbnb, and a room upgrade, which means you got to change your apartment. I mean, I'm not hearing the benefits of renting off Airbnb to these other sites so far. I mean, let me know if I'm wrong in the comments.
You will really start to see those benefits kind of stack up, I guess.
And we haven't been using it that long, and they're already starting to come up on our radar. So it doesn't take a long time, and to us, it's just all worth it.
Yeah. Now, one of the other tips that we would give you is make sure when you are booking, book on or at least search on both the app and on the website on the desktop computer, because the pricing can be different. You sometimes can get a much better price on your app, on your phone, and a lot of time the website will tell you that. It will say better price available on the app. They like you to go to that app and check it out. So just make sure you're checking both of them for the best price available.
So what's the comparison? The host, the part hotel, the hotel, what is it that we're comparing? So far, the hosts that we've dealt with on this last stretch have been great. Now, we understand that these listings can be on multiple different platforms. So you get the same host on Airbnb as you're getting over here. We get that. But we also understand that Airbnb customer service is horrible. And they're really out to make the money tenfold. So we're finding that the hosts that we've dealt with on the platforms we're currently using are very on top of their game.
And we did actually have one experience right out the gate, our first place that we stopped in with a host.
We were like, uh-oh, here we go again.
And so we did have an opportunity to contact Booking and find out from, deal that process with them. So kind of got a little bit of a taste of what it was going to be like. I would say that it actually was great. The issue that we had was kind of some communication issue, and the host getting a little upset about how we handle things not being on the platform. They wanted to handle things in WhatsApp, and we disagree with that. So we handle things on the platform only. Booking, we handled it very well. They contact the host, they told them what the issue was, and then they needed a time frame of when it was going to be fixed by. And then if it's not fixed in that time frame, then they were going to go ahead and refund us our money. So, I felt like that was actually, for our first experience with having an issue on Booking, that was a very good experience.
Yes, and what that issue was a pipe broke under the house, and we didn't have any water, plus they had a pipe break under the house. So they came and fixed it. And it wasn't in essence complaining, hey, we have no water, the pipe broke, this is the situation. Well, they wanted us to go through WhatsApp, we went through the platform, it was fixed immediately.
Yeah.
It seemed like the next day the plumber was there and fixed everything. Everything was fine. But the point being is we didn't have to go through 8 different Airbnb representatives. We went through one person, and that one person gave us all the answers that we wanted to hear, and it was resolved very quickly.
Yeah, look, guys, I've had issues in my Airbnbs as well, my apartments, and I've had good experiences, man. I think, look, a lot of this has to come down to vetting a landlord. So if I go to my messages here, you can see I have a lot of conversations, right, with Airbnb host. So the way you want to vet an Airbnb host is by you never just book an Airbnb. So maybe they just did something wrong. I don't know. But like before I ever book an Airbnb, I send them an initial message. I want to ask them a few questions to see if they have what I'm looking for. And I see how fast they reply to me, right? I see if they are accommodating, right, to what I'm asking for, if they're negotiable on the prices, things like that. Before I ever book an Airbnb, and I do it with several landlords for different apartments, right? So it's there is a vetting process to this to make sure you get a good Airbnb host, someone who is going to be attentive, someone who's going to be responsive, and who's willing to provide you with the things that you need and fix issues if they come about. So maybe they're just going about it the wrong way, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and one of the things when you said talk to like 8 different, because we've done that, they actually had me stay on the line while they contacted the host. Even though you stay online for quite a while, you had somebody on the line. It wasn't like, hey, we'll call you back, because then you just never hear from them again from Airbnb, so you have to call again. So I think that as far as for dealing with hosts, what we have found is it's hit and miss. You are going to have some of the best hosts ever, and I would say that 90% of our hosts have been fantastic. We haven't had an issue.
Can I mention the apart hotel?
Yeah, and again, there's ways you can mitigate your risk when it comes to hosts. I just showed you. You can vet them in certain ways. So there is a process to it, but it's really simple to do to make sure you have a good host, which is important.
A little bit earlier. We're going to expand on that a little bit. One of the reasons why we're really enjoying the hotel or apart hotel is simply because we might arrive someplace 5 hours before check-in. And we've done it. We've sat in restaurants and delis and with all of our luggage, and we can just show up, leave them with all of our gear, they lock it up in the back room, and we can go explore for the next 5 hours without our luggage. So that is something that we've done that, I don't know how many times on this last stretch we've had to do it.
I mean, that's not something you can't do on Airbnb as well, guys. Pretty much 90% of my apartments have porteros, or they have like concierge or doorman or a receptionist right at the front gate or at the entrance. So if I'm there early, I just drop off my luggage, and same deal with Airbnbs. I'm not hearing anything that you can't get off Airbnb from these other sites, guys. And I think what they're saying is just false. Again, 90% of the time, I get the same benefits.
Twice, and both times we were very grateful.
Yeah, it was very nice to be able to drop everything off. Yeah, and I think that apart hotels, out of all of the places that we stay, are pretty much our number one choice, mainly because we have a front door staff. We have somebody just actually right there that if there's an issue, you're missing something, whatever you need, you can directly go talk to somebody. That is, to me, the biggest bonus of that. And for anybody who's not familiar with what an apart hotel is, it's an apartment basically combined hotel. So you have that front door staff. You don't typically have maybe all the amenities that you would have in a hotel, but you have the apartment amenities that you're looking for. So you have the bedrooms, you have the kitchen, you have a full living room, so you kind of have more space.
You're also getting more amenities. You're getting usually a pool, you're getting cleaning, the front end person that Kerry was just talking about, sometimes breakfast. So there are all those things that kind of come into play that you wouldn't get, like I mentioned earlier, with a private accommodation, whatever platform you're on. Yes, it's going to cost more, but you get more.
Yeah, and if you're a solo traveler,
I mean, I get the same thing, guys. I get the 24-hour concierge. I get gyms. I get pools. I get cleanings, right? But I pay extra for the cleanings, like $10. It's not a big deal. Everything that they're saying, I get on the platform. So I'm not hearing any other benefits that I would get off the platform. Yeah.
The apart hotel is just one of those, you still get that feeling of being in a full rental size, but you have also that security and feeling that you're also in a hotel. Because when we're staying places if we're staying someplace no more than a week, we can sometimes just decide to use in a hotel. But we need to work, we need a little bit more space for that. But anything over that, we need that more space. So we're either going to have a host and be in one of those kinds of rentals, or we need an apart hotel.
So now that we know what we know about how we're traveling a little bit quicker, not a lot quicker. We still consider ourselves slow travelers for the most part. What are we going to do moving forward? What have we learned about our experiences here in Mexico, and will it translate to other parts of the world? We believe it will. We're going to continue along this path.
Yeah, we're 100% continuing with how we've been doing things as far as who we're booking through. We've been very happy with that. We have zero intention of going back and using Airbnb unless they make incredibly large changes to their platform and how they do their business. But yeah, I think that we just appreciate too much the freedom this has given us. We're thankful for the issues that we ended up having because it did force our hand to try a different way of travel. Otherwise, when we were getting that month-long discount, it just made it so comfortable.
I mean, they use the word freedom too. When it comes to using like hotels, you have less freedom in hotels. So I don't know what they mean. That you can't like invite people back to the hotel as easy as it's your apartment in Airbnb, right? Now some Airbnbs are more strict, but it's going to be a lot less strict than a hotel. So when they say freedom, again, I think that's misleading.
To get that for so much less that we just would fall into, well, that we can stay here for this much money. So this just forced our hand.
So our next destination is Argentina in South America. We plan on booking our first accommodation on arrival and then going from there. We don't know yet. We know we're going to Mendoza. We know we're going into Chile. We know kind of the path we're going on, but we're not going to book anything until after we arrive.
And, I think that we're excited for that freedom, and we wouldn't have had it otherwise. We wouldn't have had that feeling that we could do this because we would need to book ahead to get a decent place. There's a lot of hotels. You can choose from a lot of places, and just keep watching those listings and be selective and watch. If the prices start going up, then go ahead and lock something in. Thankfully for us, in Argentina and in that area, there's a lot of reserve now, pay later, so we're not even locked into anything if we do decide to. But I think the beauty of it, what we're excited about on this one is we are going to be stopping into Buenos Aires for a few days, and then we are going to be getting on a cruise ship. And so we can kind of go and get a taste of the area, see where we actually want to stay, and then when we come back, that way we know where we want to.
Yeah, if you're staying for like a week in Buenos Aires, then go ahead, book a hotel. But again, I think they're comparing apples with oranges here. So surviving without Airbnb when you're traveling for a week at a time, of course. But if you're actually living in the country, that's a completely different story.
Reservations.
Right. Well, we'll see how this works out. We might be sleeping in a ditch or something if we can't find anything. I don't think that's going to happen. It does kind of make you live on the edge a little bit. For us, anyway, this is living on the edge. For you, this isn't living on the edge at all. But this isn't something we'll be used to doing. We're used to planning things out a little more thorough than we're going to be doing this round. So I think it's going to work, and I'm excited about it.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of the kind of travel that we do. And as a full-time traveler, if that's what you're looking at doing, you can continue to mix it up. You do not have to do things one way, and this is just the way it's done. We are changing things all the time. If you watch our channel, you'll know that.
Yeah.
Like Brian said, we still consider ourselves slow travelers because whenever we want to, we can slow down. For instance, the location we're in right now, we are here for just about a month. So we can slow when we need to, but right now we're in that phase where we kind of want to try this out and see the moving a little quicker and then stop or slow when we want to.
Right, we can do whatever we want to.
Yeah. All right, well, we hope that you found this interesting. If you are interested...
All right, so I think that's it. So basically... what I learned was, when it comes to traveling for like 1 or 2 weeks at a time, sure, hotels probably make more sense. But if you're living in a place for like 1, 2, 3, up to 6 months or more, then I think Airbnb is a great option, guys. Airbnb gives you all the benefits that they actually mention. All right, let's go back to their point. So basically, tying up your money up front, that's not the case. It's going to be monthly installments. Just give it a shot. You can actually just test it out yourself whenever you want. Number 2 is the cancellation policy. So each Airbnb is going to have its own specific cancellation policies. So if that's important to you, just make sure you rent the ones that give you a full refund, up until the date of the booking, up until the date that, you're supposed to move in. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is having a good Airbnb host, right? Someone who's going to fix whatever needs to be fixing. And the way you can do that is vetting up front, right? You can mitigate risk by messaging the Airbnb host before you ever even book it. And I'm also not saying that Airbnb is the end all be all, right? There are plenty of other options like off Airbnb once you're living in the place, once you're there as well. But I think it's a great place to get started, right? It's very convenient, right? In my opinion, it's been safe. It's been a really good experience. And then some great ways to save money off Airbnb is not only to negotiate on the platform, but once you're there, you'll meet different landlords, right? Like it's even on Airbnb. If you're messaging a bunch of hosts, some of those are going to have other apartments in other areas, and now you could rent something off market eventually, or right then and there. So I think there's a lot of perks to Airbnb. Unfortunately, I was hoping to learn something where I can probably, maybe have some other sites, some other, and there are other sites, right, outside of Airbnb, depending on the country you're in, but I was hoping to see something new. Really what they were saying, just, I don't know, I guess most of it, I disagree with what they were saying, just hasn't been my experience. So hopefully this video is helpful for y'all. If you guys want help actually finding housing or renting an Airbnb or finding an ideal neighborhood for you somewhere in Latin America, I created a questionnaire. Just fill it out. Links in the description. Or if you want to see similar videos to this one, just watch this one right here, and I'll see you there.